Alright guys, who broke the robot?
Hello everyone, I'm a Broken Robot. When it comes to the world of indie developers, they all seem to follow a similar pattern. They'll either produce a game that's a slow, atmospheric, linear story, or a pixelated action game with not so subtle nods to depression and anxiety. While these stereotypes for indie games have slowly fizzled out with a swath of creative indie studio productions in the late 2010s, before then, games like Undertale and Shovel Knight dominated the indie game landscape with soft stories with deeper, more emotional spins on traditional video game experiences. However, one game decided to go against the grain of the video game industry. That game is now the legendary HotLine Miami, released in 2012. In this video, we'll discuss the gameplay, story, and just what makes HotLine Miami so special. This is a quick spoiler warning for anyone who might care about the story or just wants to go into Hotline Miami with a fresh set of eyes. You've been warned. Hotline Miami first originated as a 2004 game known as Super Carnage. The game was created by Jonathan Soderstrom as a top-down shoot-'em-up as one of his first games with the goal to kill as many people as possible. The game was cancelled following difficulties with the programming AI pathfinding and tossed into the unfinished and unreleased box, alongside 150 other unfinished titles. Years later, Soderstrom met Dennis Wedden, singer and keyboard player in the Effing Werewolf Asso band. The two would go on to create a promotional game for the band keyboard drum set Effing Airwolf, and a cancelled game known as Life, Death, and Island. After the cancellation of Life, Death, and Island, Soderstrom and Wedden encountered financial difficulties and were running out of money, which they then decided that their next game would have to be a commercial success. Going through Soderstrom's unfinished games, Wedden saw the potential of Super Carnage's prototype, and the two began development using much of the programming laid down back in 2004. Hotline Miami began development in 2011 using Game Maker as the first game title to be produced by the newly founded Dianton Games. The game was developed over the span of 9 months with little budget, no proper release planning, and was described by Wedden as effing hard. The team experienced various challenges with developing the game's pathfinding and the limitations of an outdated version of Game Maker, combined with game software that's been out of use since 2006. When the game was finally finished, very few game producers wanted to pick up the title due to its inappropriate themes. Luckily, indie game developer Devolver Digital was able to pick up the title and save it from being unreleased. Now you know about how it was made, but just what is Hotline Miami about? Hotline Miami is set in an alternate version of Miami in the late 1980s, where the city is plagued by rampant crime and organized violence. Miami still has its warm, sunny tourism feel, but with much darker undertones. The game follows the story of an unnamed protagonist referred to as Jacket by the Hotline Miami fanbase, who is a hitman working for a mysterious unknown organization. The game begins with Jacket receiving cryptic and disturbing phone calls that instruct him to carry out violent assassinations. Each call provides him with an address and a password, and Jacket follows these instructions without questioning their origins. Jacket's first mission takes place in a small apartment complex where he eliminates a group of armed thugs. As he progresses through the subsequent missions, the violence escalates, and Jacket encounters a variety of enemies including mobsters, drug dealers, and other criminals wielding weapons ranging from shanks to automatic assault rifles. Throughout the game, Jacket encounters characters who provide him with information and guidance. These characters include Beard, a fellow hitman who offers advice and shares his own experiences, and Richter, a Russian mobster who becomes a rival and later an ally when the true secrets behind the organization Jacket has been working for is revealed. As Jacket carries out his missions, he begins to question the nature of his actions and the motives behind the phone calls. He experiences strange visions, hallucinations, and flashbacks, blurring the line between reality and delusion. Jacket's journey also introduces him to a group of masked vigilantes known as the Fans, who idolize his violent exploits. The Fans consist of various individuals, each wearing a different animal mask and possessing unique skills and weapons. Jacket crosses paths with them multiple times throughout the game, engaging in deadly confrontations. As the story progresses, Jacket learns that the phone calls and his missions are part of a larger conspiracy involving a Russian mafia syndicate, corrupt politicians, and a clandestine organization known as the 50 Blessings. 50 Blessings aims to destabilize the criminal underworld and overthrow the existing power structure. Jacket's actions inadvertently set off a chain of events that leads to a war between rival factions, resulting in widespread violence and chaos throughout Miami. As the situation spirals out of control, Jacket becomes a target himself, hunted by both the Mafia and the authorities due to his involvement. In the later stages of the game, Jacket discovers the truth behind the phone calls and the organization behind them. He learns that the calls were a form of brainwashing designed to manipulate him and others into carrying out violent agendas for the 50 Blessings. Jacket confronts the mastermind behind the organization known as the Janitors. In a final showdown, depending on the player's choices throughout the game, Jacket either kills the Janitors or spares their lives. The game concludes with Jacket succumbing to his injuries, collapsing on the street. The ending is open to interpretation, leaving the player to question the true nature of Jacket's actions and the consequences of his choices overall. Hotline Miami explores themes of violence, identity, and the blurred lines between right and wrong. The narrative is intentionally ambiguous and surreal, encouraging players to interpret the story and its meaning for themselves, not only taking itself seriously but also treating the player like an intelligent onlooker. Gameplay-wise, Hotline Miami adopts a top-down pixelated style that not only adds to the overall gameplay but helps Hotline Miami stick out among the crowd of pixelated indie games that were popular at the time of its release. One thing that myself and other players enjoy about the way levels are designed is how there is no specific way to clear a stage. Some might go in guns blazing, while others might attempt to move room to room, taking out mob or cartel members bit by bit. A nice touch in the design of Hotline Miami's level system is that they all feel similar but different at the same time. What I mean by this is that by the time you reach the halfway point of the game, you can use your experience and knowledge of previous level layouts to aid you in your assault. But the look and design is just tweaked enough with each level that each one still feels unique but somewhat familiar. Additionally, some levels will throw curveballs at you, with things like cops showing up to try and stop you after a stage has been cleared, to boss battles and enemies with RNG mechanics that make no two encounters quite alike. When starting a level, you are given multiple different masks to choose from that can give you all kinds of buffs, ranging from guard dogs ignoring you to being able to see hidden weapons stashed away by the defending criminals. If you choose to use the original mask that grants no buffs, you'll have to use weapons found in the environment or taken from defeated enemies to progress further. I would highly suggest that anyone playing Hotline Miami for the first time to not use any of the masks at first, so you can get used to having to use just your fists, because in many of the later levels, the available weapons in the environment shrinks massively, and in some levels picking up weapons is off limits altogether, forcing you to rely on your fists and any weapons you're given at the beginning. No matter how you choose to play Hotline Miami, don't worry, you will die. A lot. In fact, if you're playing on console, there's an achievement for dying 1,000 times, and I got it before even finishing the game in my first run. The fluid nature of Hotline Miami's game mechanics, combined with the one-shot, one-kill mentality of enemies, only adds to the tension and thrill when you're clearing out a stage. It's important to not get cocky though, and assume that just because you're using certain masks, that you'll be able to clear a stage first try. It's important to not try the same strategy over and over again. That's a good way to get frustrated. Thanks to a combination of difficult but captivating game mechanics, a unique but vague and linear storyline, and the freedom of choice when it comes to clearing out stages, combines together to make one of the greatest indie games ever produced. But what do you guys think? Do you actually prefer Hotline Miami's sequels or other titles produced by Devolver Digital? Or do you agree that Hotline Miami was a trailblazer for more violent indie titles? And with that being said, if you have stuck around this long, please take a moment to like and subscribe for more reviews and video essays. And you'd be helping out me and the channel personally. I hope you all have a great day and are enjoying the summer. Don't forget to drink some water, help your parents around the house today, you know they'll appreciate it, and stay cool.